What's going on, everybody? It's Frito here for your Overwatch. I got a lot of messages since my recent videos talking about ranked, asking why I didn't address the Smurf problem. So, to rectify that, we're going to continue our conversation talking about issues in the Overwatch community. Today, talking about alt accounts or Smurfs. Now, these terms often get interchangeably used and somewhat misappropriately, and that's part of the problem as well. Because at least for me anyway, I'd prefer to use the term Smurf to signify abusing alt accounts rather than just having them. What I mean is, if you buy an account to attempt to get it to a lower rank so you can have an easy time stomping newer players, that is not a behavior anybody wants in the game, right? However, if you have an alt account that you use to learn new heroes on, that's completely understandable, mostly because some of the other problems that we've gone at great length to describe that ranked has. Your account only gets one rank. So if you get all the way up to like a career high playing a certain role or set of heroes, it would be very detrimental to use that account to try to learn another role. This issue is something that could get resolved if we had a role queue and as well separate ranks for the different roles per account. Then we wouldn't have as much need to make alternate accounts. But I think using alt accounts to learn new roles isn't necessarily the problem at all. Because as Jeff Kaplan has posted and explained in the past about a year ago, he described that smurfing isn't a very big problem, at least in their eyes, because, for example, a pro player that they tracked internally started a new account, and after 15 games, the MMR of his main and his alt were exactly the same. The system was recognizing how strong he was as a player mechanically, and it put him where he belonged. And this system is something we haven't mentioned in quite a long time, but was our bigger bugbear for the longest. The internal performance-based SR manipulations that go on behind the scenes in order to adjust your hidden MMR. Because of them, being a radically better player than the rank around you is nearly impossible in Overwatch, which is a great achievement that the Blizzard team has set out for. If you've only ever really played Overwatch online and haven't played multiplayer games for a long time, you may not know how much harder it is to keep an account at lower ranks in Overwatch. It's basically impossible. If you're really good and you're outshining mechanically everyone in the lobby, you're simply going to rank up. So yes, that type of player will ruin some games by beasting on easier foes, but they can't do it for long, and the system radically moves them upward, being around peers. But something that doesn't get talked about enough is the fact that despite that working, quote unquote, it creates an entirely new problem that Smurf accounts never had in the past. You see, normally, you create a new account and you want to get it to a higher rank. You used to have to be able to grind through lower ranks, and it would take a long time to do so. Especially in a team game, you're only one player, you only can do so much to speed up your progress of winning, because that was the only way to gain SR in other games. But with the Overwatch SR manipulation system, you start a new account, you play really well in placements, or don't play well in placements, get placed lower, then start playing well all of a sudden. In either case, the SR adjustment system boosts you, kind of like from high school to the pros, right? Just totally skipping over the collegiate stage or what have you. And we may think, well, that's a good thing, right? Now they can't beast on lower ranked players. But the new problem it's created is that now, because it's so easy to get a new account not only where your main account is, I would even argue it's easier to get it higher than your main account. This is a major problem. What it does is make it so that alternate accounts are essentially throwaway, because there's so many safety nets to get you back to where you quote unquote should be. It makes it so there's no consequences at all for a ton of bad behaviors. And I don't mean being toxic or reportable offenses or things like that, but basically soft throwing. Almost anybody can soft throw at all times. Why? Because whatever your mechanical peak is as a player, whatever rank you think that is, you will always be able to get back there if you start a new account or if you drop too low. In our opinion, at least, and we've observed this over the past 3 years, it is way worse to have accounts be disposable at every rank throughout the entire ladder rather than the problem that this system has set out to solve. Because at any level of play, apathetic throwaway alt accounts are going to trouble you. The entire premise of people being at ranks that they quote unquote should be is probably one of the most anti-competitive systems that we've ever seen. We've spoke out about SR adjustments throughout the years, but I don't think I've ever said it as plainly as that. It is straight up not competitive. It would be like if we didn't let NYXL play their playoff games because their season was so good. Okay, you go straight to the final when it turns out they lost in the playoffs, right? They deserve to lose at that key moment. And this translates into ranked to be trying to boost everyone all the time. It doesn't matter if you don't know how to play the game, the system will boost you based on mechanics anyway. And I know there's probably a lot of players that think Overwatch is entirely mechanical, and don't get me wrong, a big percentage of it is, but it's not all it is. We don't get to look at NYXL on paper and say, you go to the final. In the same way, even if you have diamond level mechanics, using SR adjustments to boost up an account that's currently playing in gold just because they're mechanically better than their peers is not just wrong, it's destructive. The monster we've created is way worse than the disease we were looking to cure. The SR adjustment system is the real problem because it operates as if every player will be trying at all times. Rather than requiring you to try your best to get to higher ranks, it does stat tracking to boost you there anyway, even if you're not trying, which is completely ludicrous. I'd much rather have players that are really good but don't try to win at lower ranks where they're supposed to be, rather than boost them up to higher ranks because we're afraid that their mechanics are too much to deal with at lower ranks. Winning should be the only thing that matters, and you shouldn't be gifted rank because the system thinks you're better. There's sort of a brutal reality to the nature of smurfing in that you can't fully stop it. I mean, there's some measures you could take. For example, they could do SMS protect on every account in ranked, so you can only have one account. But what would that do for those who want to learn new roles? That would cause its own problems. Sure, if we wanted to eradicate it from the planet, as well as drop some sales numbers for Overwatch, I'm sure, they could create SMS protect or even a buy-in. But short of some extreme solution like that, we can't outright fix it. So instead, to be reasonable about this, we have to decide where we want the problems to be. What problem is harder to get around? Is it harder to deal with random teammates in solo queue that don't try because they're on alt accounts and don't care? Or is it harder to deal with smurfs on the enemy team who are actually a bit better than the rank implies currently? Without a doubt to me, it is harder to deal with your teammates throwing because normally in a proper ranked environment, whatever troubles you have to overcome on the enemy team is your problem. You should be bringing your own stack. You should be bringing all your try-hard muster because it's the ranked mode. It's supposed to be difficult to play. So yes, it might be a bit unfair if someone is a higher rank on the enemy team hiding amongst a lower SR group, but you've got to remember that that's the entire point of you trying to rank up, is to get up to players that are above you. When I play on an alt account at Diamond, you might say that I'm smurfing. However, I'm not so much better than everybody else in the lobby that I just outright win the game for my team every time. In fact, that's not even close to what happens. Even if I can pull out some dominant tank play or even some dominant Widowmaker play, my Widow is far beyond a Diamond's Widow, I still can't always just win the game for my team. I think what a lot of players forget is that there's cutoffs to the value that a single player can ever get, unless you actually are pro. But an average human going from like Diamond to Smurf into Gold, yes, they'll have an advantage for sure, but they're not going to be superhuman in comparison to you. They'll just be a bit better doing things that you probably haven't seen before that you have to learn if you want to rank up, because that's how players play at that next tier anyway. Now, unfortunately, with the smurfing issue, I don't have as hard and fast solutions as I do to ranked in general, because these systems that Blizzard has developed for Overwatch are so different to any other game that's existed, in my opinion, and the goals of the ranked matchmaker for this game seems to be quite different. Not in a good way, unfortunately, that we can't really address the smurfing problem directly before we addressed the ranked issues to get a better scope on what even the philosophy of ranked is going to be moving forward. In general, ranked mode gets treated as if it's just quick play or brawl or any of the other modes, rather than the TLC that a ranked mode actually needs. They put systems in place in order to crack down on behavior that they don't want, but all that has done is in turn moved negative behavior into different areas. And at least for me, all I want is ranked to feel competitive the majority of the time. The best way to do that is to stop disincentivizing groups, which is the case at lower ranks, which is amazing, and I'm really happy to hear that, but it should be the case throughout the entirety of the matchmaking system. Or If you're not going to do that, we need more systems in place to actually properly prop up ranked as a solo queue favored experience, because it doesn't do that either. Instead, we have a mixed queue that gives you the same rank, but adjusts how you earn SR or adjusts who you play based on a host of different manipulations and factors that don't result in an end product I think most of us are proud of. I know a lot of this stuff is overlapping with some of the same things that we've mentioned have been problems in the past, but all roads lead to Rome with this stuff, guys. And I personally am not holding my breath for BlizzCon to give us a lot of answers in this regard, but I certainly hope that they push forward whatever they've been working on in order to give us alternatives or a solution to ranked that can help this problem. I don't think ranked serves someone like me who wants to find a team-focused way to play the game, or those who want to play the pure solo queue version of the game. It doesn't help anybody. And instead, all of us are forced to conform to all of the mutations of Overwatch that ranked implements on itself and play a much worse version of the game than we could be playing in a more focused matchmaker that leans towards a certain play set. At this point, there's so many solutions, I'm baffled that none of them have been attempted. So I hope we get something soon, guys. That's my thoughts on smurfing. It is an issue, but it's so interlinked to everything else going on in ranked that you can't really isolate it currently, and the system is doing the job it's set out to do. Ranked works. It's just the vision for it, I think, is completely backwards and misguided. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. That's going to be it for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave it a like. It really does help us out. Lets us know that you're enjoying the content. And if you haven't already, please subscribe because we upload each and every day. So you're going to want to hit the bell icon so that you get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description is our Twitter, where we tweet out news, updates, and dank memes. That's been it for me. Hopefully they fix this stuff. I'll see you guys next time.